Right. Hey, everybody. It's Jeremy from jeremy.net. I'm a comic book artist, writer, creator, self-publisher, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, like get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get free blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, animated GIFs of works in progress, and more, you can sign up for my newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That will forward you to my Amazon author page. All right. So we are back to working on some comic book covers here, or rather thumbnails for the cover. I was doodling around with my logo in Illustrator, trying to kind of like lock down the final look for this thing. And as I was thinking about it, I know with my perfectionist nature, I could go into an endless round of just continually doing versions and versions of this. But I realized that I'm still just not 100% happy with the cover choices I have here, and I want to do one more. And by the way, I mentioned this last week. For anyone who is a Patreon subscriber or a paid subscriber on Substack, I've started opening the Discord voice channel right now. So if you're already on there, you can head on over to Discord and you can actually get on, and instead of typing in the chat for this stream, you can just get on and we can just talk while we're drawing. So feel free to do that, and or just hang out and draw along. But just wanted to let you guys know that that's available there. So anyway, I was just thinking that the colors that I have right now don't feel threatening enough. And I wanted to try something with either a red or a green, or just trying to do something that has a little bit more of a horror feel. Hey, my boy Trevor's in the chat. Trevor, Skull, I get to watch live this week. Well, thank you for watching live. And by the way, I didn't send any messages out on Memorial Day, but thank you for your service, and thank you for the service of all our military folks who made the greatest sacrifice for us. But good to see you. I'm glad you got a little time off today. And I see Herman in the chat. Herman says, "What's good, G? And people, hope all is well." You know what? Finally, after months and months of dicking around, we're doing a bunch of other little things. I was like, let me just get back to doing some comics, because I think that was the thing that most people who've discovered my channel came for. So let's get back to it. It's been way too long since I've made a lot of progress on my comics, and most importantly, what I really want is just to I just want to get the ball rolling with the new series. I need to still tighten up my outline a little bit, because I'm one of those people where if I don't know, I have difficulty moving forward if I don't know the ending. Like, the people can just write stories and go endlessly from page to page and issue to issue and just make it up as they go along. I am in admiration of that. It's not how my brain works. My brain works in contained beginnings, middles, and ends, even if there's going to be a sequel or a volume after that. And Trevor, don't worry about the misspelling of my name, because I mean, hell, it's not like I made it easy on anybody. My folks said, we're going to do two things. We're going to give you a unique spelling so that you will travel down a creative path, but we're going to make it impossible for anyone to pronounce on site or spell it correctly once they know how it's spelled. So it's a mixed blessing and a curse, but I take no offense. Let's see here. I think actually what I will do, just trying to decide the best way to color comp this. Because one of the other things I've been trying to get into the habit of is doing these color thumbnails. Like I actually posted this on Patreon the other day. I did one where I was working on my thumbnails, like how small I have this on the screen right now. I was doing color studies that tiny. And I just heard a little ding of the voice chat. Somebody log in? Well, if anybody does come by, feel free to say hi while we're working. Oh, Trevor said, thank you. He said, I just retired from the Army. Well, congratulations. You deserve a rest and you deserve some time to enjoy yourself and have some peace. Oh yeah, and Herman's here. He says, I'm setting up my sound. Yeah, it is a little weird if you haven't done the voice chat before, because, well, really, the thing I found is no matter what you're using, because I have a microphone that's plugged in and is generating sound, I can have YouTube on without feedback. But I think if anybody else does it, like they have to mute the YouTube and just listen to the audio that way. Anyway, I'm just going to be drawing and yammering and talking to the chat. So at a certain point, feel free to cut in at any time. I am actually just trying to decide if I want to do this without what am I trying to say here? without drawing actual line work. In fact, how the hell did I even do? It's been so long since I've opened this file. I need to come in here and look at my my layered bits and see, like, what did I do when I was constructing this? Turn off. Okay, I think I see what I did. So in that case, let's just take this sketch. Actually, you know what? Forget that sketch. What I'm going to do instead, no, I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to create a new layer, and I'm just going to fill it with a dark color and work from scratch, because I don't know, that instinctually seems like a way to go when I'm trying to shake things up, is just try and come in with a little bit of a fresh angle. So let's just fill this with a neutral grayish, dark gray, blue. And let's see here. Dylan's in the chat. Hey, Dylan, how you doing? Jim Lujan. Hello, Mr. Lujan. He says, good morning. Have you unveiled the pitch for your next project yet? Well, I haven't necessarily unveiled the pitch, but what I'm doing, I'm working on a cover for it right now. And basically, it's instead of Pandora, it's called Pythos. And the idea of it is that it's a retelling of the story of Pandora's box, except when I was doing research on the story, they said it's not really a box, it's a jar. And the proper name for a Greek jar is a Pythos. So I'm calling it that. And basically the premise is that she opens the jar, releases all of the evils in the world, and now she's going to hunt all of the evils down and put them back in the jar. So it's kind of a bounty hunter, sort of Ash versus the Evil Dead, but with Greek mythology. Oh, Trevor says it's spelled right there in front of me. I even looked at it before typing. Well, you know what? Autocorrect does a mean mug on my name. It tries to make it Gemini, Gerbil, Jabril, anything it can think of other than my actual name. So it does not make it easy on anybody. Anyway, the main problem that I was having with the covers I had right here is that they didn't feel threatening enough. So what I want to do instead, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to fill this with red. Then I am going to alpha lock this layer. Come in here. with some black and just sort of knock back a lot of the details. Or actually, you know what? Instead of black, let me just come in with a dark red and sketch that way. Here, I should probably the challenge that I'm having here is that on one hand, I want to draw large enough so that you guys watching can see what I'm doing. But my instinct when working on thumbnails is to draw as tiny as possible and make it impossible for me to work in any details. But anyway, I don't have any interest in changing the composition, which is just her looking at the viewer while holding this jar with all of this light pouring out. I just wanted to do something that felt more sinister, and I felt like the current ones that are below with the blue and gold, they are pleasing, but they don't have the feel. They don't carry the emotional weight that I mean, if you're going to do a color piece, the book itself is going to be black and white, but the covers are going to be color. And if I'm going to take the time to do a color cover, you know, the power of color is that it's an instant emotional signature. Regardless of what the details of the story is, color can put people in the mood for what you're planning to convey narratively. So let's see here. Dylan says, "I'm good. I'm going to the grocery shopping soon." And says, "This sounds interesting. I love Greek mythology." Gerbil Burley. That's going to be my name for my OnlyFans porn comic. Oh man, I'm on one this morning. So anyway, yeah. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out a better color combination for creating a rather sinister, menacing feel. And I'm thinking about doing this either with reds or doing it with greens. Green definitely has a kind of sickly, ghostly vibe. And now what I want to do here is I want to come in with a almost black blue. So I want it to be black, but I want it to be like a slightly cool, just cool enough, just enough that it makes it feel like it's not going all the way to just straight black. And then I'm going to drop the opacity here and try and paint. Go bigger with the brush. Let's see here. There we go. I mean, in a certain degree, it's a cop out because the red and black is a color scheme I use for a lot of projects, a lot of illustrations. It is probably my favorite. It's my go-to. Um, so I'm kind of playing it safe with this, but I also realized that my desire to grow as an artist is a good desire. We should all have that desire. But I tend to do everything on hard mode and try and reinvent the wheel with every single thing I do instead of just saying, all right, look, I know how to do a certain thing. If that's a certain color scheme that works for me, um, a certain composition or a theme that I can repeat that gets positive feedback, why am I trying to make every single project I do like this uphill battle? You know, just why not let myself have a little bit of easy wins? I think that might be something that, well, I'm sure it's something that's plagued me. I don't know if it's plagued you guys as well, but the idea of if it's not hard, you feel like you're not actually working. When it's like, no, you can do something that is not an uphill struggle and it still means you're doing good work. Not everything has to be this horrendous, like epic Mount Everest. I almost died making this comic struggle. Um, and I think that that's something, it's a mindset issue. And it's a mindset issue that I really need to confront because I think I've spent way too long trying to make something that is already really, really hard that much more challenging. Trevor said Gerald Burley sounds like a sidekick for Orgasmo, for the superhero in Orgasmo. I haven't seen that in years. You know what though? I feel like maybe something like the Gerbolator or Gerbilation. There might actually be a character in this gerbil thing. Well, I mean, there's a character in everything. You know, I've been meaning to do a video just on the idea of that question of where do ideas come from, because I think ideas come from everywhere. My whole thing, the summary of the video is ideas are just thoughts, and we have thoughts nonstop. So if you wonder where ideas come from, it's like try to not think, and you'll see you can't. It's very difficult to clear your mind and not think at all. So, but the greater point is that ideas are just thoughts, and it's not whether you still have to decide how to execute them, and it's the execution that is good or bad. You can take the worst idea in the world and put it in the hands of like Steven Spielberg, and you're going to get a masterpiece. Well, not always, but even he can have a couple of stinkers now and then. But the greater point is in the hands of a skilled creator, you can take things that would not seem like they would be good ideas and do something radical with them, do something that's profound with them. I shouldn't even bother messing with her face on this because this is one of those things that, again, in the whole idea of trying to not get caught up in details, the minute you start drawing a character's face, faces are the things that we obsess about the most. See, it's so weird. The piece below, the three different versions with the blue and gold, that was me trying to explore some other color combinations, some other contrasts. But the minute I start doing what's in my lane, I keep saying I'm not good at color. And I think that, yes, that it's true that I have a lot to learn. But when I do the things that I like, the things I've done in the past, immediately it's all okay. This feels, just by switching the palette to just black and red, it feels like this feels more like me now. And I think that that's an interesting part of the creative struggle. And I'll look at the chat in a sec because I realize I've just been sitting here drawing and going. But that ongoing battle between growth and executing what you're good at. Because if you only do the things you're good at, you're never going to grow. But then if you're constantly trying to challenge yourself, you end up with what I was saying before, where you're constantly reinventing the wheel and not making progress. So it's just something to think about and to ponder on. I mean, am I the one who has these random ass thoughts while they're drawing? Like for me, the whole thing with like my newsletter and the blog posts I make, that's all stuff that I have these thoughts. This is why I like talking to you guys while I'm on the stream, because I think the thoughts that I have in normal life are not particularly interesting. But when I am in the act of drawing, when I'm in the act of making something, my brain goes into philosophical mode. It thinks about all of these ideas that could potentially be profound, but at least, thought and curiosity provoking. All right, let me scroll back up. Jim says, did you clear the rights for Pandora's Box story with the Greek mythos lawyers? Well, I guess I'm screwed. This thing is tanked. Actually, one of the things that kills me is at a certain point after I had developed this idea. So one of Ashley Wood is one of my favorite contemporary comic book creators. And he didn't do a graphic novel, but he did a short story for a comic book called Closing Pandora. And it's a science fiction story, not a mythology story. But that name, Closing Pandora, was perfect. Like that's exactly it. It was one of the names that I was coming across when I was brainstorming what I was going to call this series. Because originally I was just going to call it Pandora's Box, but there's so many stories that have that name that I wanted to just use something that was different. But I was like, damn it, the Ashley Wood name is like perfect. Oh, hang on a second. Herman, sorry, I'm coming back to your comments. It says, I can hear you, but I'm trying to figure out how for you to hear me. Let me go back to the voice channel real quick, because Herman's in the Discord, and I'm over here. Now, see, this is what's interesting. If you look at Discord, you see how when I talk, my voice kind of lights up green. So what's supposed to happen is when you talk, yours should light up green too. I'm going to right click on your name and see if it says user volume, like you should have volume. Let's see here. All right, I see you trying to talk. Guys, everyone watching, you're going to have to hang loose for a second while I try to figure out what's going on here, because you don't look muted. I'm going to try and mute and then unmute you and see if that does anything. Because my volume is up on my keyboard. And normally when I do the the Patreon live streams, this works fine, and I do them through YouTube, so there shouldn't be any reason why I shouldn't be able to hear you. Yeah, I can see the green. I don't hear you, but I see the green circle, so it says that you're speaking. Huh. It's so odd. I am not sure why that's not working. And when you're hearing me not through YouTube, but through Discord, right? My audio is coming through there. I'm coming back to the chat to look for the answer to that, because obviously I can't see what you're saying. And guys, we'll come back to the conversations about the artwork in a second. I'm just gonna see if I can figure out what's going on. Okay, yeah, Herman says that I'm on my headphones and he can hear me through there. Try leaving the channel and then entering back in again. I don't know why that would or wouldn't work, but maybe that will do it. Let's see here. Okay, so it says that you logged on. You know what? Are the headphones that you're using, do they actually have a microphone? Because you might have to go into, like, for instance, let me check my settings here. Let's see, there's camera, share screen, activities, soundboard. At the bottom of the Discord, next where it's got the user settings, next to the mic and the headphones, click on your user settings and then see if there's, no, wait, that's not, doesn't have anything about the audio at all. All right, that's not it. Well, let me see. Voice and video. All right. Go to your user settings and then click at the very, where it says app settings, there's voice and video. And then it says mic check. And then you press that and see if it does anything. And check your input device and see if it actually is using the microphone that whatever computer or whatever microphone you're using, whether it's your computer microphone or you have a mic, see if, make sure that the correct input device is selected. And while you're looking at that, I'm going to catch up on comments real quick on the live stream. Let's see here. All right, let me scroll back up. Let's see here. Dylan says not everything has to be a I can't even say Sisyphean task fitting for the subject you're drawing. Jim says I'm on that team, and he did. And then Driver says, I'm not going to do gerbil style anymore, Pop. Okay, son. Oh, man. We're going down a dark path. Okay. Herman says, not really. I think random all the time. Yeah, I guess I do think random all the time, but I don't think I'm as aware of it as I am when I'm drawing. And Trevor says that's why I miss sharing a studio with Batten. Batten Lash, she was a assistant to him years ago. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I love about this live stream is that it kind of feels like sharing just sharing a studio and being able to bounce ideas off each other. Chit-chatting with other artists while drawing is one of the great pleasures of life, because we make these little observations and then be like, oh, hey, you ever noticed this? And be like, you're crazy. I don't do that way at all. And just, you're still getting work done, but you're teaching each other by hearing how we all do things differently and different approaches. And it's like shop talk is just super fun. Let's see here. I'm gonna come back to the Discord thing, Herman, in a minute. I'm just gonna go through the rest of the comments and get caught up here, and then see if we can figure out what's going on there. Trevor said to Jim, Bat and Lash did a story about a muse suing an author because she was doing all of the work. Watch AI go around and start suing people because it's doing all of the work. But I'm like, well, that's why the AI work can't be copyrighted. Let's see here. Oh, and James says, I didn't know you were going to be streaming today. You'd be live today. Yeah, originally I wasn't planning to. I thought I was going to have to do a little bit of traveling for family business. Turns out that's going to be later on this week. So I'm probably going to have to skip next week's stream, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. Trevor says, I've typed my chat into the text of the page 3 times now. I'm going to go ink. Yes, go get some work done. You can just have me going in the background. Oh, so Herman was asking about the wait, let me see. James says, I got to look at those faces you were suggesting. I'm not sure how busy I'll be this week, but no worries. He said, is Pithos a new book? I said, yes, it's the new comic that I'm doing. I'm going to do it as a webcomic because I eventually want to do it as a Kickstarter, and I feel like putting it out online and building readers that way. But I'm not going to go through Webtoons only because Webtoons, my understanding is that they have some parts in their contract where they have like a first right of refusal for any media development if you want to do it, as a game or a movie or a TV show. And I'd rather just do it on my own website and point people there. Let's see here. So Herman says, I went to the voice part in my Discord, and it says my sound checked out. Let's see here. All right. Hey, Chris. Chris is in the chat. All right. Let me see here. All right. I see that you popped back out again. I am not sure what's going on with the Discord, because I'll tell you, I've done it before where I'm live streaming and I have the Discord open, and anyone who comes in and talks on the Discord, it plays the audio through the literally I hear the little sound of you logging on, but in the same way that you're hearing my audio now, normally it will play that audio as part of the live stream. And I don't know whether it's a problem on my end that I need to fix. Let me look at the chat settings. Let me edit the channel and see if there's anything in here that I can. Let's see here. Channel overview, video quality, regional override. So there's something called a soundboard. Oh, that's just like sound effects. All right. Yeah, I can see that you're talking right now, and none of it's coming through. This is so strange. So here's something. Let me see what happens. I just muted myself. So right now, in theory, I'm only being heard by people on YouTube. All right, I just unmuted myself just to see if it did anything. Yeah, this is so weird. I don't know what's going on. And it's kind of frustrating because I really thought this would be really cool to have you on here able to chat. This is so weird. And when you looked at your user settings for the sound and voice, it said that the input device was whatever speaker your computer has. Because I am out of. I think this is one of those things where I'm gonna have to maybe go and try to figure out what the tech support like. I don't know. I'll have to Google solutions for this and try and figure out what's happening and why. But yeah, at the moment I can't figure it out. Let's see here. James says, yeah, Kickstarter is cool. I said on Indiegogo, I helped fund Joe Frankenstein comic and was able to opt for one of the covers. Well, that's cool because I mean I'm planning to do multiple covers for this as well. Um, let's see here. Trevor says I've been trying to letter a page and I keep forgetting to change screens when I type. My characters just say some strange stuff in context. Well, that's no surprise to me. That just, I mean, I would expect nothing less. Let's see here. James says he went for the Anthony Gonzalez Clark variant, and Trevor, thank you so much. You've been monetized. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Very very generous of you. Let's see here. Herman says I have my headset on. I have my mic set to input, and my speakers are set for output, and I hear you. And he says, it's cool. I'll try to figure it out. I hear you and everything. And I see my voice chiming in Discord. Yeah, it's so strange. I just don't know why the Discord audio is not coming through the live stream because it's worked in the past. James says, money for coffee or pencils. Yeah, you know what? Now I need to get a sip of coffee. You got me thinking coffee again. I'm like, oh wait, I'm not done with my coffee. Right. Well, all right, Herman. I'm sorry if you please keep messing around with it, and if at any point you're able to break through, just interrupt me if your audio comes in. When I'm done, I'll see if I can figure out because maybe it's something with the service that I'm using, StreamYard, for the live streaming. But in the past, I haven't had any problems with playing Discord audio during the live stream. So I'm gonna keep working on this cover and hopefully we will be able to figure that out down the road. So I'm going to warm up this red a little bit, kind of an orangey red. And maybe a little bit lighter. You know, and that's the other thing I'm realizing is part of the reasons why my color usage tends to be so garish is because as my buddy Carl Alstetter would say, I tend to color with like I'm working with a bag of Skittles. But the color choices and the color shifts I make tend to be really, really grand, like really strong, instead of doing things that are a little bit more subtle. So I see, and that's the thing. Herman, I heard that where you just logged off. I can hear the little doo doo doo. Yeah. And it makes it sound sad when you're leaving. It's like, you suck. You can't get your members in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying, damn it. Right. Let's see here. Okay. James says, one time someone told me I was lazy because I sculpted a character without a shirt, but that was a deliberate choice. Do you think there's a difference between being lazy and making deliberate creative choices? Um, yes, I do. But I also don't fault people for being lazy because, again, that whole conversation I was having in the beginning about making things harder on yourself. Um, I mean, in the grander scheme of things, as I've gotten older, I care less and less about what other people think. So if someone tells me, "Hey man, you're being lazy or you should do this or do that," I will listen because I'm always open to feedback and hearing how I can do things better. But if I hear the feedback and I disagree with it, then I'm just like, shine them. I'm going to do what I want to do. So my answer to a lot of these questions are going to be what other people think, including myself, doesn't mean jack shit. What is important is what you think and what you feel. So I think that the most important thing is what do you feel pushes your work forward? And if someone gives you some feedback or says, "Hey, you're being lazy," if you hear that and you think, "You know what, I am being lazy. I can do this better," then it's probably right, and you probably should put some more work into it. But again, like you said, what you were doing was a deliberate choice. It wasn't. First off, I don't even understand how sculpting someone with a shirt off is lazy or not. If you wanted to make someone, if your intent was, I want to sculpt someone with a shirt, then you just sculpt them wearing a shirt or whatever clothing. And if you said, you know what, I clothing isn't doesn't I'm not that great at sculpting clothing right now, I'm going to skip that. It's still a creative choice. It's you saying, you know what, as opposed to trying to make it all about learning how to sculpt clothing, that's not what I'm trying to do right now. I know that I need to get better at it, but I'm not trying to do it right now. Those are all valid choices. So the idea of making a creative choice, whether it's made out of laziness or not, is really irrelevant. What is important is your intent. And it sounds like you knew what your intent was from the jump, and that's all that matters. So Paul says, "Who's this jack shit guy everybody knows?" Hey, Paul, thanks for rolling in. Good to see you. You know what? Jack shit is a nosy motherfucker who's always trying to get up in everybody's business, and he needs to take a knee. Let's see here. And Herman says, "That's so crazy. I'm here." Yeah, I know. It's driving me nuts that you're right there and that we should be able to talk during this and it's not working. That is very, very, because when you were on last week and we were doing the jam drawing, I thought, you know what, I need to get the channel open so people can hang out. And it just seems nuts to me that it ain't working. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's see here. So as far as this thing, honestly, this color scheme is totally working for me. I think the only thing that I need to do is let's do the opposite now. Let's cool off. Actually, you know what? I'm trying to decide the teeth I want to have in the background here, whether I want to cool them off. Yeah, let's just see how it looks if I cool them off. In fact, I'm gonna put another layer on top because this is the point where where we might start going off the rails a little bit. So here's a color theory thing that I can't remember if I got this from James Gurney or whether I got this from watching a schoolism video on color. But if you see the color wheel that's up on my screen, if I've got red, on the other side of the color wheel is green. And people normally think, all right, well, what's between red and green? And you could either go around the warm side to orange, to like yellow, or you can go around the cool side to blue. But the most direct way is to go directly across the color wheel. And so if you take red and then you do a gray in the middle, like a neutral gray, that neutral gray will appear as a a cool color. If you do it, like if you're going to cross from warms to cools, if you're doing cool colors, a gray will appear warm in comparison, and if you do warm colors, a gray will appear cool. So I'm just trying to decide whether for the background elements, whether I want to try painting a specific color or whether I just want to go with just grays, just go neutral. So let's see what happens if I go about the same value, but well, that's actually going to be really, really cool. When I say cool, I mean cool as in temperature, color temperature wise. If I go all the way to just neutral gray, it actually, just even looking at this comparison, it feels very, very warm. So instead, what I want is to start with the red that I have and then say, all right, what happens if I move that towards neutral gray? And then painting that in here would come off as a cool color. Because what I'm trying to do is paint some white teeth in the background. Let me see. Paul says, take a knee, Jack. On the audio issues, Herman says, it's like I'm in the ether. I'm walking around, y'all, and y'all don't hear me or see me. It's very much like Ghost. Let's see here. Paul says, I'm at a family gathering. Want to say hello. Got to get back. Go, dude, please. I appreciate you even taking time to say hi. Go, definitely do the family time. All right. In the back of my mind, I just keep thinking about like Herman. Like I'm like, how can I fix this? How can I fix this? It is frustrating, and I'm sorry that you're locked out that way. A separate layer. I am. Just going to paint this white and then drop the opacity. Which, is not something I could do if I were working traditional. And part of me wanting to learn how to work better with color is trying to think in terms of painting instead of like doing tricks. I don't call it a trick. It's just using the digital tools. But instead of painting and then just dropping the opacity to make it fade in, what I would like to do is develop enough of a color sense that I can just pick what is the color that this would look like as a low opacity white on top of a very vibrant red, and then just paint with that color. So I'm trying to do sort of like a digital version of Alla Prima. But again, is that just playing the game on hard mode? All right, let's see what happens if we turn the opacity down here. I mean, it's kind of what I started trying to do before. It's like a neutral, it's like a grayish, whitish red. Let's see what happens if I color pick this directly. And the reason why I'm turning that layer off and painting it again with the direct color is because I want to see what happens if I have this and then can paint white highlights onto it, like, sort of glistening fangs. And this has got me thinking about the old movie posters for Cujo when I was a kid. Right? If I remember correctly, the movie poster was just like the logo, the tagline, and a pair of fangs. I don't even know if you could make Cujo now. I mean, and I say that, just I believe that culture has changed, and people are more sensitive about things now than they were in the 70s and 80s. But I think that just the idea of a story about a rabid dog pursuing a family, and the fact that you're going to have to kill this dog to survive. I just don't even know if people could accept like that concept seems so unpalatable in contemporary culture. I don't know if you could make Cujo today. And it's not like it's my favorite Stephen King movie. I've only seen it once because back when it came out, that was in the era when I was not cool with horror films. And I don't even remember why I tried to watch it. Maybe I thought because it was a dog and not something supernatural that it maybe wouldn't freak me out as much as a little kid. It still freaked me out. But anyway, I wanted to see what this would look like if I were painting it fully opaque as opposed to a low opacity, and then came in with highlights. Let's see here. Gary's in the chat. Hey, everyone. Hey, Gary. Herman says, Cujo equals woke. Not going to happen. Oh, hey, look at that. James says a Cujo remake was announced back in March. Well, shit. I didn't expect that. Well, there we go. Corey says, hi, everyone. Hey, Corey. Good to see you. And I still need to circle back on that video project that you were talking about, because things seem to be calming down. Although all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but unfortunately, I've got to take care of some more family stuff that's going to take me away from the live stream. I think probably next week. But I still fully into. And I know you said no pressure, but I think about it every once in a while. Like when I see your blog posts, like the latest posts from Rage of Enlightenment, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get back with Corey on that. And I should probably have you on the stream at some point just to catch up and talk about how it's going with the project. I know you've taken a step back from broadcasting online, but every once in a while, being online just to have a catch up talk, that might be fun. See how it's going. Right. And the other thing I wanted to do now was come in here and see what happens if I, again, starting with the bright, vibrant red, what happens if I just say, all right, let's go towards gray, like darker gray, to kind of cool this thing down. And then painting kind of just outside of where the that light is hitting, that glow. I'm trying to do this as sort of cooler colors. So yeah, that's the interesting experiment here, is using gray as my cool. This could probably be grayer. What happens if I go just as dark, but just bringing down the saturation in this dark color? Will that read as cooler? I don't know. It looks better with the black. All right, that's probably enough there to decide that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's not a full-on horror story. It's a monster story. But I definitely feel like this color scheme is the red and black is a lot stronger than the yellow one. And while we're at it, I'm gonna just duplicate. I'm gonna merge all this, duplicate it, and I'm gonna color shift it to green and see how that looks. So Chris asks or says the first pick, her neck is thinner. She actually is supposed to have a thin, long neck because her build is kind of like a a tall, athletic kind of Amazonian figure, but almost like if you took a supermodel and put her in the gym, so she actually bulked up. So I'm not really worried too much. Like, for instance, if you notice that in all of these sketches that are down here, I mean, it's the same sketch, but her neck is more normal proportions. I was probably, when I drew this first sketch, really trying to exaggerate the long neck. I'm not really too worried about that because I'm still developing this character and I haven't really made a full-on model sheet for her yet. So the fact that the necks are different, I'm like, it'll. I always feel like I should make my model sheets when I'm done with the entire comic, because I feel like the I learn how to draw the characters as I'm drawing them. Like I shift little bits, little features, their hairline, different parts of their clothing. I'll shift those things around as I go. And it's almost like by the time I'm on the final issue of the series, like if I'm doing a 4 issue miniseries, I don't even really learn how to really draw the character until I'm almost done. Which, I mean, that is one of the advantages of working on like a legacy property like a Batman or Spider-Man, working for Marvel and DC, is just the idea that that character, their look is established, and you might change their look a little bit for your particular run on the character, but for the most part, there's a certain classic aesthetic that you would be following, trying to pursue. All right, so let's see what happens if I take this and let's just hue saturation this bad boy over to the greens that I was thinking of. So while we're at it, we can kind of look at these other values. We're like, magenta is interesting. Purple might be cool. Blue is too soothing because I definitely want it. The thing is, the red definitely kind of says horror. And the reason why I wanted to try the green is because it's fantasy, but it's fantasy chasing monsters. So I want the tone to be creepy, but not full on horror. And that's the reason why I was thinking the green as opposed to red. So let's see what happens. We make this sort of a push the screen a little bit more towards yellow. And that's kind of sickly. That doesn't look good at all. Let's see here. I don't know. So what do you guys think? I've got the one that's the yellow and blue, which I definitely think was not working, and I really need to go with just one dominant, light. And I've got the red versus the green. And actually, if I turn off the thumbnail and scoot one more over, I think I can actually get the yellow that I want. Let me duplicate this. Nope. What do I want to duplicate this? Move this over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer on top, clip to it, and I'm just going to fill it with a bright yellow. Maybe with a very saturated yellow with maybe a little bit of, maybe a slightly towards gold. And let's see what happens if I just fill. And now let's just switch this to, well, color doesn't give me a whole lot. Or it mutes it too much. Saturation, hue. Ooh. If it was high adventure, I mean, that has kind of a ghostly bright look to it. Sometimes it's nice just scrolling through the opacity, the layer options, just to see like what kind of weird stuff it might give you. I mean, this obliterates everything, but it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. If anything, this is probably what I was going for with what's on the bottom, where it's just blasting out light. I mean, it's too much, and I would obviously need to come in there and tamp that down. But let me remember the linear light setting is something to come back to. No, the hard light setting's not bad. And then when we get into color dodge screen, well, let's see here. Now, this is a good point. Just the fact of doing linear burn on this and seeing that if I were to do the green, that moving the highlights to a yellow would probably be a smart choice. And maybe there's a color for the red one that might be better to move it to as opposed to white. I mean, hell, it might be the same thing as also moving it to yellow, but so putting a pin in the fact that the green one looks better with the yellow highlights. Let's go back and look at this one here. So I see Gary in the chat. Thank you for the shout out there. He says 8 watching, but just 3 likes. Appalling. I hear you. Well, first off, we're up to 10. So everyone on there, hit up those, smash that like button. Thanks for calling them out, Gary. Keep them honest. Keep them honest, man. Let's see here. James says, fancy chasing monsters. I still haven't seen Love and Monsters. I don't know what Love and Monsters is. I don't think I've heard of that. Unless that is the movie that is the third sequel of that movie, the movie Monsters, where it's like North America is just taken over by creatures. If that's what you're thinking of, I am familiar with it, but I haven't seen it. But if it's something other than that, then I don't know. Let's see here. Back on the audio, Herman says, gee, I don't know, man. I can't figure it out. I see myself. I see it working, so I'm sure it isn't the mute button. I think sometimes you have to turn up the visitor volume separately. Well, see, let me hop back in there one more time. Let's see here. Because I see you, and when I click on your options, all right, I put your audio, your volume up to 200 in the Discord. I'll tell you what, Herman, do me a favor and just hang on for a second, because I'm going to end the stream. Stay in here on Discord, because I want to see if when I turn off YouTube and it's just you and I in the voice channel, I want to see if I can hear you, and maybe the problem is something that it has to do with StreamYard and not the Discord server. So hang on in there for a second. I'm going to wrap up the stream. So let's see here. All right, guys. Anyway, what do you guys, I'll tell you what, leave comments on there and just let me know. You can just say yellow, red, or green. Just leave a comment. Let me know which one you guys like, and I'll go in here and figure out, I'll see what everyone's leaning towards, because the red feels like the safe choice for me. It feels like what I've done before. It just feels like it's a little too horror. But we'll see. We'll see. See what everybody says. Oh, see, Gary's already going for the yellow. Okay, cool. Maybe the yellow is it. I do need to go in here and put in some more darker values so I can kind of balance out the yellow with the overall color scheme. I don't know if I need to have some black in there with the yellow or not, but yeah, I need to refine the yellow a little bit more. And thank you. Herman says, hit the like. He said, I choose red and green with yellow as the highlights. Let's see here. Oh, Corey says, I missed what you're trying to communicate, but yellow or green for me. Well, the main thing was that the original version I just felt was bland. It wasn't working color wise. So I started with the red, which is just the color palette that I tend to use for a lot of things. Red and black is kind of like my safe area. It always works for me. But it makes it feel too much like a horror book. And this is what I'm going for, is a fantasy story where you're hunting monsters. And that's why I started with the green. And then I thought, well, let's put some other comps there. So I mean, hell, maybe I need to go back and look at like some fantasy movies like look at the movie posters for stuff like Dragon Slayer or Krull. Like if you guys remember Krull, that's probably the tone that I'm going for. There's a little bit of creepy, you're hunting monsters, but it's still a mythic fantasy adventure as opposed to a horror story. So yeah, maybe I need to go look at some movie posters that are in the genre I'm thinking to get some comparisons color wise. Of course, I may look at that and the movie poster for Krull may be horrible because Krull is not necessarily. Most of the people who remember it with nostalgia, not necessarily, oh, it's a high watermark of fantasy. All right, guys. Yeah. Herman says Dragon Slayer and Krull was the joint back at. He said my favorite is Legend. Now see, and Legend, even though it is very fantasy, that one would squarely fit with the red. So that's interesting. Gary says, to me, it's something about the Greek mythology theme that makes yellow seem to fit best. Interestingly enough, I was originally going for the blue to try and do sort of the blue and white, but I think the blue and white look of Greek is sort of like that's contemporary when you look at like Greek restaurants. It isn't necessarily like classical Greek. So I will tell you that I like the new color choices more than the bottom ones, the original that I had done previously, but I feel that my work here is still not done. And that's ironic because my whole point was I know that I tend to go on and on and on and do tons of versions of things. And I wanted to hopefully just lock it down and dive right into doing the actual final piece. But all right, anyway, let me wrap up the stream. I want to get on, see if I can do a little tech with Herman, see if we can figure out what's going on with the chat. Because in the future, anyone who's a Patreon subscriber or a Substack paid subscriber will be able to just get in and talk if he and I can work this out. All right, so wow, I just pulled myself from the stage real quick. That sucked. Hopefully I'm still there and you can still hear me. All right, this is what happens when I get flustered. Okay. On that note, if you enjoy these live streams, would like to get additional live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital comic, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, animated gifs of works in progress, you can sign up for my Substack, my newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. You can pick up books like my first graphic novel, Eye of the Gods. It is a standalone psychological thriller about a man cursed with visions he cannot control. Or you can pick up my most recent project, Morning Star. It's a retelling of Lucifer's fall from heaven as a Western. It's an 8-issue series. Volume 1 contains issues 1 through 4. Volume 2 contains the conclusion, issues 5 through 8. Both of them have extensive back matter, character designs, thumbnails, script excerpts, photo reference, and more. I basically show you how I put the whole book together. All right, guys. Thank you again for hanging out, all the great comments and conversation. That's it for now. Go be creative.